Welcome to the Be More Objectivistic podcast, the antidote to collectivism. Our podcast was created for the curious listener who has heard the word objectivism, but is unsure what it means, where it comes from, or why it matters. You do not need a background in philosophy to listen to our podcast episodes. Every concept is explained in plain language, with practical examples drawn from history and the present day. Objectivism is, at its core, a philosophy of life. It asks, what is real? How do we know it? What is the good life? How should people live together? These questions are not dusty academic abstractions. They are the very questions that drive political movements, shape economies, and determine whether civilizations flourish or collapse. Are you ready to begin? Okay, let's go. The core principles of objectivism in depth. 4.1 Metaphysics, the Axioms of Existence. The foundation of objectivism is metaphysical. Before we can discuss ethics or politics, we must establish what kind of world we live in. Objectivism begins with three axioms that it considers self-evident, meaning they cannot be denied without implicitly asserting them. The axiom of existence. Existence exists. Something is, rather than nothing. This may seem trivially obvious, but it has profound implications. It means that reality is not an illusion, not a dream, not a social construction, and not subject to revision by wishing, voting, or legislation. The world is what it is. The axiom of identity. To exist is to be something specific. A is A. Every entity has a specific nature. It cannot simultaneously be and not be something. This is Aristotle's law of identity, and it is the foundation of all logic, science, and rational thought. Objectivism applies this axiom with special force against modern philosophy's tendency to embrace contradiction. When politicians promise free goods at no cost, when ideologues insist that biological sex is merely a social construct, when economists promise the benefits of money printing without inflation, they are violating A is A. Reality will eventually reassert itself. The axiom of consciousness. Consciousness exists. There is something that is aware of existence. Without consciousness, there would be no knowledge, no philosophy, no civilization. But consciousness, crucially, is consciousness of something. It is not self-contained. It does not create what it perceives. This is the basis of objectivism's rejection of idealism. The view that reality is a product of mind. The objectivist position is that consciousness perceives reality. It does not create it. 4.2 Epistemology, the mechanics of knowing. Objectivism's theory of knowledge begins with perception. We perceive the world through our senses, and those perceptions are valid. They give us real information about real objects. The next level is concept formation. We abstract from perceptions to form concepts, then from concepts to more complex abstractions. Crucially, objectivism holds that this process is fallible. We can form incorrect concepts, make errors in logic, and hold false beliefs. But the corrective is more reason, not less. We test our ideas against reality, revise them when they fail, and build more reliable knowledge over time. This is the philosophical foundation of the scientific method. Objectivism stands equally opposed to rationalism, pure deduction divorced from facts, and empiricism, blind sense data, without conceptual integration. The proper method is conceptual integration, using logic to connect perceptions into a coherent, fact-grounded picture of reality. 4.3 Ethics, the morality of life. Objectivism holds that ethics is not a matter of divine command, cultural convention, or arbitrary social agreement. It is a science, a systematic study of the conditions required for human life and flourishing. The fundamental ethical question is, what should a living being do? The answer starts from biology. A living organism must act to sustain its life, or it dies. For humans, rational action is the means of survival. Therefore, rationality is the primary virtue. The virtues. From rationality, objectivism derives a complete system of virtues. Rationality, the commitment to using reason as one's primary guide. Productiveness, the application of one's rational faculty to the task of creating value. Honesty, the refusal to fake reality in one's own mind or to others. Integrity, the alignment of one's actions with one's values. Independence, the reliance on one's own judgment rather than social conformity. Justice, the practice of judging people and things by objective standards. Pride, the commitment to being worthy of one's own highest values. Selfishness as a virtue. Objectivism's most controversial ethical claim is its defense of rational self-interest. In a culture that has equated selfishness with cruelty and altruism with virtue, Rand argues that the equation has it backwards. Altruism, as she defines it, meaning the moral duty to sacrifice oneself for others, is the root of collectivism, the justification for every tyranny that has demanded the individual bow to the collective. Rational self-interest does not mean a Hobbesian war of all against all. It means that each individual pursues their own genuine long-term values, which include honest friendships, productive work, and a social order based on mutual respect. The trader principle, giving value for value in voluntary exchange, is the ethical foundation of both commerce and civilization. 4.4 Politics, Rights, and the proper role of government. Objectivism's political philosophy flows directly from its ethics. Because each human being is a rational, self-directed agent, each possesses rights, the moral sanction to act in certain ways without interference from others. The fundamental right is the right to one's own life. From this derive rights to liberty, property, and the pursuit of happiness. Rights are not gifts from the government. They are moral facts about human nature. Government does not create rights. It can only protect or violate them. The only legitimate government is one constitutionally limited to protecting rights through law enforcement, courts, and national defense, and funded by voluntary taxation. This is a radically different vision of government from what exists in most modern states. Objectivism holds that every law that forces people to benefit others, welfare programs, mandatory charity, redistributive taxation, compulsory service, is a violation of individual rights, regardless of the benevolent intentions behind it. 4.5 Aesthetics. Art as the concretization of values. Rand's theory of aesthetics holds that art is the selective recreation of reality in accordance with the artist's deepest values. Art is not entertainment, not propaganda, and not self-expression in the chaotic sense. It is the concrete embodiment of a metaphysical worldview. A great novel shows what human life could and should be like, making abstract values tangible and emotionally real. Rand's own literary aesthetic was romantic realism, realistic in its respect for physical and psychological facts, romantic in its depiction of heroic, value-driven characters pursuing great goals. She regarded modern naturalism, depicting man as an insignificant cog in a meaningless machine, as philosophically dishonest. Thank you for listening to our Be More Objectivistic podcast episode. In an era of surging collectivism, government expansion, and ideological conformity, understanding objectivism has never been more urgent. Whether you are a student, a professional, an entrepreneur, or simply a citizen trying to make sense of the world, our podcast episodes give you a foundation, clear, logical, and grounded in reality, for thinking about freedom, morality, and the future of human civilization.